What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, the legend, the host of this wonderful podcast, Rizzo, aka RIZGOD, Riz God, baby, bringing you our first episode to the RizPod, where we're going to talk about the top 10 players in the NBA right now as of December 26th, 2022. And going to co-host this podcast with me is one of my great friends who's very knowledgeable in the NBA. Is going to be my buddy Chris. Chris, what's going on?
Let's go, Riz.
How you doing, pal?
Doing all right. Chilling.
Good. So you excited to talk some basketball?
I'm always excited to talk basketball.
All right, let's do it. So just a little background to everybody. Me and Chris have been really good friends for a very long time. And we have always talked about wanting to argue and debate basketball, sports in general. And what a great way to do it than debate the top 10 players in the NBA. And it's a fun topic because there's so much great talent in the NBA. Everyone has their different views and opinions. And I'm excited to not only hear Chris's, but have you guys all hear mine. There's really no rankings, or there's really no rubric to why a certain person deserves to be over someone. It's just what you think, and as long as you have shit to back it up. So let's get this show on the road. We're going to go with the top 10 players in the NBA right now. Chris, who would you say is number 10? Or even before we go into number 10, what are your honorable mentions of not making it into your top 10?
Honorable mentions. I definitely had SGA, Shai Gilgeous from OKC. I had him at 10, but then I remembered this guy out in Boston named Jaylen Brown, and I took him out, put Jaylen Brown at 10 for sure. Okay. I had both of them honorable mention, then I said no, I had to pick one of them, put them in my top 10, and definitely SGA though. If the OKC had a better record, I'd definitely have him up in my top 10 though.
Yeah, no, SGA is a great shout out. For me, my honorable mentions, I had 3. I'm going to go with Anthony Davis. I know that might be a little bit shocking, but Anthony Davis to me is not healthy enough. Street clothes, Anthony Davis, always riding the bench. I mean, when he was healthy, that dude was putting 2K numbers up, 50 and 15 every night. And honestly, he's probably the reason why the Lakers really are turning it around. They still aren't doing too hot, but Anthony Davis was a big one for me. Zion Williamson is another one. I think scoring 25 a game, being the second team in the West, and shooting at 60% field goal percentage is nothing to take lightly. Plus, his assist numbers are pretty insane for a power forward. And then my third honorable mention is Tyrese Halliburton. I think Tyrese Halliburton needs to get a shout out there. I think he's having MVP kind of caliber season, if you want to look at it. I mean, he plays for Indiana. They don't get a lot of love. He's leading the league in assists. He's a young player. He's kind of shit in the bed right now tonight against the Pelicans, but I had to show some Tyrese Halliburton love. So with that being said, I know you mentioned number 10 for you, but go ahead and just kind of carry on to why your number 10 is your number 10.
Well, I had Jaylen Brown and AD actually at number 10, to be honest. I have them both sharing that spot.
Okay.
I had made this list when they were through 30 games. So this was before AD got hurt again, the whole hoopla with him. But I definitely have them two splitting the 10 spot because I think Jaylen Brown is just a great asset to the Celtics. He's just playing phenomenal, especially playing behind a guy that I consider top 5 right now, Jason Tatum, being his Robin, or even, being Batman and Superman on Boston. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing a phenomenal job playing 35 minutes a game, having 26, 7 boards, 4 double-doubles the whole season. Like, playing with just an all-around superstar like Jason Tatum and putting up these types of numbers, I think it's crazy. And AD, I give him that 10 spot because once LeBron went down, a lot of people expected the Lakers to go downhill from there. AD stepped it up. He was playing more minutes. He was staying healthy, was putting up monster numbers. I mean, he had a stretch. He was scoring 30 points for like 3 straight games, 10 boards, phenomenal defensive rating, 15 double-doubles. I mean, when they play with him, they're 9-12, the Lakers. When they play without him, right now they're more than likely 1-4. So he makes a big impact to that Lakers team.
No, and I think it's a good shout out, Jaylen Brown. He actually didn't make my list, but Jaylen Brown is someone that is putting up insane numbers for a guy that's not the number one option on his team. And to think that the numbers that he's putting up for the best team in basketball, it's something to note. So I'm glad that you gave Jaylen Brown his flowers, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't give it to him, but he is someone to look out for and deserves the respect, in my opinion, as well. And then, like you were saying, AD, I think AD before his injury was playing out of his mind and definitely in the MVP conversation. The only thing with AD is that he's kind of playing for a team that's really not winning. Um, so yeah, I think those were good shout outs. It's very funny that your number 10 was tied between two people because I kind of did that as well. It was hard for me to kick someone out of this spot. So my number 10A and 10B is going to be first. It's going to be LeBron James. Maybe it's a little too low, but I think with so much talent that there is in the NBA, I got to look at not only stats, but I got to look at what they're doing to impact their team winning. And I just don't think LeBron right now putting up 28, 8, and 7, having 7 straight 30-point games for his year 20 season. I mean, this is insane. Nobody ever, I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in his 20th season, who's even played that long, averaged 23. And the fact that LeBron's averaging a calm 28 is nuts. It's hard for me to put him over a lot of these other people that I have on my list because the Lakers aren't winning. Um, Obviously, when LeBron's trying, I mean, look what he did yesterday in Christmas. I mean, he went out there, put on a show, and it was a calm 36, but they ended up losing by 20 to the Mavericks or whatever it was. I don't think his play style really equates to winning anymore. And it's nuts because his team is kind of ass. But LeBron not being in the top 10 to me is just highway robbery. And my 10B is someone that you didn't have on your list. I got to go with SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think what he's doing in OKC would be highway robbery for him not to be on this list. I think he's the most improved front runner right now. He was going from averaging 24 or 23 points last season to 32 now. I mean, a couple of points in a season to average more than last is already impressive. And the fact that he went up 7 points alone is freaking nuts. He's averaging 32, 5 boards, 6 assists. I think what he's doing at such an efficient rate. I mean, he's a 90% free throw shooter. He's shooting the three ball with that ugly ass jumper at like 32, 33%. And his mid range, he's just a mid range assassin. Obviously, OKC isn't really winning right now either. They're with the Lakers in the 12th and 13th seed, which is why I have them ranked so low because they're just not equating to winning. But I just think the fact that he's shooting 33, 34% from three, 93 or whatever it was from the free throw line, and he's shooting almost 50% from the field as a point guard in this league is not easy to do, especially for how young of a player he is. If OKC, for some reason, manages to fit into that top 4 seed, they won't. But if they did, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would most likely get some MVP votes. And like I said, I think he's already got the most improved locked already, and we're only on Christmas. So I needed to give Shai that love and get him 10A and 10B.
It's funny because I had made the list, I completed the list, and then I realized I missed one key player, and I had to take him out.
It's like I said, it's tough because there's just so much talent, but scoring 32 a game, it's like, and from going from 24 to 32 is fucking nuts. So I got to give SGA that love.
I definitely agree. With 6 assists while averaging those 32, playing with just the type of mid-level guys that he has around him, it is a great.
And OKC is so young, right? Like, I mean, you got Josh Giddey, but after that, like, who do you really have? You have a bunch of first, second, third-year guys that really aren't big names, and I mean, they're almost at 500 in the West, so it's like that needs to be notated, which is why I had him at 10A, 10B.
Yep.
All right, great. So a pretty good, pretty calm 10, 11, 10A, 10B. So let's go on to number 9. Who do you have for number 9?
Number 9, I have Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
I got Donovan Mitchell because he's went to that Cavs team with that young core and is really shining with that young core, with Darius Garland at the point, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, all those other young guys that have come off the bench. They have the veteran guy, Kevin Love. And Donovan just went there and just made it slowly like his team. He's the guy for them now. Whether, people like it or not, he's the guy for the Cavs now. Averaging near 30, 4 boards, 4 assists, shooting 50% from the field, 42 from 3, 90 from the free throw line. When they play that, they're one of the top 4 teams in the East right now. They were at the time they were 15-8. His defensive rating is 107. He's had two double doubles throughout the season. He's not a high, assist guy or a high rebounding guy, but he could definitely score in a bunch. If he needs to, he'll pass. If he needs to, he'll rebound. If he needs to guard the best guy, he'll guard the best guy. You've seen it plenty of times in the big games. The game against Boston, I highlighted when he was up against, the best defensive team in the league, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. He went and he took that Cavs team and really pushed them over and like really made a statement like, hey, it's not just Boston here on the East. It's not just the Bucks. The Cavs are relevant. I give Donovan Mitchell that nod at 9. He's also top 10 in MVP rankings at the, right now. So I got to show him some love at number 9.
I love that you have Donovan Mitchell at 9 because my number 9 is not only going alongside you, is Donovan Mitchell. I think for Donovan Mitchell to leave Utah, which was one of the best teams in the West, obviously they didn't really have that great playoff success, but they were constantly a top 4 seed in the West, to go to the East on a very young team that was really good last season, to be that guy. I mean, you got Darius Garland, like you said, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. You have so much, Kevin Love. You have so much pieces. And the fact that he came in there, is averaging 30, like you said. He's putting up 4 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, he's in there putting a young Cleveland team in the top 4 seed in the East, which is very competitive. This is not the East of the early 2010s. This East is arguably better than, I don't even know if it's arguable. They are better than the West. I think Donovan Mitchell has put up stellar performances against big teams. And I know against the Nets right now, he's kind of stinking up the joint. But if you look back at a couple of performances he had 41 points against Boston, like you were saying. He got that win. It was a big game against the best team in the NBA. He had 43 in a win against the Lakers. He had 41 in a win against the Pacers. This guy has 16 30-plus point games this season. And when he scores 30, the Cavaliers are 13-3. That, to me, is the equivalent of winning. He's not putting up empty stats, which some can say Bron and SGA are doing. This man goes out there, puts up 30 and gets the W, which what else do you need in a superstar? And I just think he's fitting in so well to Cleveland. For once, I think Cleveland without LeBron is going to make it past the first round. Do I think they have championship aspirations? I don't know, because the East is so hard, but Donovan Mitchell, without a shadow of a doubt, is him. And I think he deserves that number 9 spot, just like how you said.
Definitely does. I mean, I'm gonna put him on my Knicks hat real quick, my Knicks fan hat real quick, and say he should have been a Knick.
Yeah, it's a tragic thing that he wasn't, but Cleveland has been a really good fit for him.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have 10 and 9 down. Chris, who is your number 8?
Number 8, even though he's been out of the few games, he's had some, bummy performances, but I still got to give Devin Booker his flowers. I think that the first 30 some odd games when he was healthy, you lose CP3, the leader of your team, your point guard, he kept the Suns at that top spot in the West. Like, he did his best with the supporting cast that he has. They ran it back. Same crew, CP3, Book, Mikal Bridges, Ayton. I think they just switched out. They put Torrey Craig in instead of Jay Crowder because the whole situation there. But, Book averaging 35 minutes a game, putting up 28, 5 rebounds. When CP3 goes down, his assist averages go up. He's averaging near 6 or 7 a game. 1 steal, 49% from the field, 38 from 3, 88 from the free throw line, and he had one of the best records in the West, 16-9 at the time. 3 double doubles. You're talking about a guy who's just known as a scorer. For him to have 3 double doubles, I think was very impressive to me, especially throughout this, throughout the season so far. Top 5 MVP consideration, behind guys, that I'll mention, later on. But he just picked up the point guard duties for CP3 basically. So just keeping them on top of the West, a very tough West. Like, you have teams, Mavs, Warriors, Grizzlies, Pelicans are up there. The Lakers, even though they are, stinking it up, but they're still the Lakers with LeBron and AD. You go up against that team, you have to play your best. So I think Book definitely deserves this 8 spot to me, because when he's on, he's on. When the team is flowing, he's the best player regardless of how we look at it. Like I said, I know he's had terrible performances. We saw him out in Dallas, stunk it up, but I just still think he's a great player and deserves definitely the 8 spot at least.
And, he did stink it up in Dallas. We did go see him in Dallas, and he just doesn't respect coin. My take on Devin Booker is it's tough for me to rank him alongside the elites. I will say he did not make my top 10 list. I think Devin Booker, the difference between Booker, I think, compared to a lot of other superstars is he isn't dynamic in the fact that I feel like he puts up a lot of empty stats. I know now with Chris Paul, with DeAndre Ayton, they made that finals run. He's putting up 28 a game. He's an efficient scorer. There's no doubt in my mind he is one of the best scorers in the league. I think that's a given. I just think when Devin Booker is not on, his team, like he doesn't make that much people around him that much better. And yes, I know he puts up the assist numbers. I know he can shoot the ball. He's great from the mid range and everything. I don't think he can take over the game in other ways than scoring, right? I have other people on this list that I just genuinely think can take over the game, whether that's defensively, whether that's passing the ball, rebounding the ball. I just think other superstars in this league can do a lot more than Devin Booker can. And I think, like how you said, Devin Booker, he did almost just put up 60 the other day. Like,
Yeah.
he can score the freaking ball. I just don't think if he's not scoring the ball, he's going to put his team in a position to always win. So yeah, he didn't make my number 8, or my list at all. But my number 8 is Mr. Showtime himself, Ja Morant. What he did yesterday to, I think, Anthony Lamb, the URI alum, almost killing him before Aaron Gordon just had the dunk of the year. Ja almost had the dunk of the year because what he did to that man was insane. I don't think there goes a question that Ja Morant is special. I think he is the new elite to the elite. I can see him very much winning an MVP within the next 10 years. Is it going to be with Memphis? I don't know. I think Memphis is a interesting team because they're young, they're hungry, they're talented. They got Jaren Jackson, they got Dylan Brooks, they got Desmond Bain, they have Steven Adams. The list goes on and on. They have Tyus Jones. Like, they have such a deep team. And even when Ja Morant doesn't play, Memphis still seems to do well. I don't know the exact stat from the top of my head, but I remember last season, Memphis was like 20 and something and like 5 without Ja Morant. It was something absurd. So clearly Memphis is good without Ja Morant. But you look at Ja Morant's stats this season, he's averaging 27, 6 boards, 8 assists. He's clearly one of the best playmakers in the league. He's scoring at ease. Just the fact that he can just drive, take it into the lane, it's just effortless for him. He's got 3 triple doubles on the year, which is one of the most this season. He's behind a couple of guys that I have ranked higher above him, but he's really doing great. I think he's leading a very young and hungry team. I don't know what Ja Morant's weakness is. I feel like a lot of people on this top 10 list, you can find some sort of weakness. But Ja Morant, I mean, he can score inside the paint. He's a decent free throw shooter. He can pass the ball. He can rebound the ball. He can drive. He can do everything. Obviously, his three-point shot is not elite, but if you're scoring or shooting the ball at a 32, 33, 34% clip, I mean, that's good enough. Not everybody could be Kyrie Irving and KD shooting 40% from 3, or Steph Curry, right? So I think Ja Morant at the number 8 spot. The reason why he's not higher for me is because his team has proven to be good without him. But obviously, he's that missing piece for them to be championship contenders. So that's why he's not higher for me. But obviously, Ja Morant is special.
Yeah. I have no argument there because actually Ja is my number 7 on my list.
Okay.
So I have no argument there. I mean, the weakness I'd point out on Ja is definitely his shooting. I'll be honest. It would have to be his shooting, his 3-point shooting. Even though, it is, like you said, it's okay at a decent 34 clip, but to be as explosive he is, if he had that shot, he'd definitely be top 4, top 3 players in this league right now, without a doubt. I mean, you saw yesterday, Warriors were just lagging off of him, just daring him to shoot the ball. They didn't want him to get that explosive dunk. But can he go and get it anyways? Absolutely. That's how just explosive and he is. He's just going to go blow by you, and I'm going to just try to dunk on everybody on the team. But yeah, no, I have no arguments on your 8 because he is my number 7th player. Like you said, when he plays, it's just phenomenal. It's a highlight tape waiting to happen every game. 3 triple doubles, 7 double doubles, 6 rebounds a game, nearly 8 assists a game, 1 steal. I mean, he at least is going to give you 1 or 2 of those highlight blocks as well. So that means I'd say he's a pretty good defender when it comes to just pure off his athleticism, explosiveness, and his speed. One thing I will say is you said that they are doing well without him, but this year they're like 1-5 when he doesn't play. Now that also add Desmond Bain has been out for a while. So is that a factor? More than likely. Desmond Bain is the second guy to Ja, and definitely even when Ja is in the game with him, he's also a number one option because his shooting
Yeah.
ability just spaces the floor for Ja. Gives if they're gonna have to cut out to Bane, Ja is gonna be able to cut, dunk on people. So I mean, he's just impactful for his team. Highlight plays, both sides of the ball. He's gonna give you a block that you're gonna just be like, how the hell did this point guard just jump that far and pin this guy's thing? Like it's ridiculous. The dunks, the layups, is just he's an explosive guy that I really number 7 is the spot for him, at least for me.
And I think since we're still on the topic of Ja, I think what Ja is honestly just he's a combination of D Rose in his prime and Russell Westbrook to me because I think he's got that explosiveness like Westbrook, but he has that finesse like D Rose did. I mean, 2011 D Rose was jumping out the gym, obviously, but he didn't have to dunk on everyone. Like John Morant to me is like literally like jelly fan. Like that man will go up and then he go, oh, like his head is at the rim and then he just lays it up. It's insane.
Yep.
I think Ja has so much more to prove to himself just because I think there is more to improve to his game, but the leaps that he's making is he's only in his what third or fourth year and he's a top 7 8 player in the NBA already currently right now. I think that proves how talented Ja is. um my number 7 is going to be a little bit controversial to someone like you because I know how much you love this person, but just based on the season that they're having right now, my number 7 is 4-time NBA champion Wardell Stephen Curry. I think this might be a little low. I think if you look at the grand scheme of like talented players in the NBA, Steph Curry is no doubt a top 5 player. I
Mhm.
just want to base it off the season that they're having and just currently right now. I think Steph is actually having one of the better seasons in his career. He's averaging 30 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. This is the highest usage rate that Steph Curry's had in a very long time. But the thing about Steph Curry that is just it's kind of getting me to where he's at this number 7 spot is his team's not winning. He's 11th seed in the West right now. They're like 16 and 18. I know he just got hurt with the shoulder, but this is even before then. Steph Curry has been putting up great numbers. I mean, he had a 50-point game that they ended up losing to Phoenix. It was like 50 points, 9 rebounds, and like 6 assists, or vice versa. Like that is a killer stat line. Then he had 47, 8 and 8 with the win to Sacramento, where they only won by 3, and then 44 and 5 in a win against Cleveland, only winning by 5. So Steph Curry putting up these superhuman performances and barely just squeezing out a win to me, and it can be a little blow on Golden State. I think Golden State has been a little bit banged up. I know Wiggins hasn't been playing, and
Mhm.
they've lost a lot of their bench depth. But I
Mhm.
just think when I have the top 6 guys ahead of Steph Curry, their teams are winning, and it's because of their superhuman performances. I think Steph Curry has this is kind of given me that the year where they went into the play-in. Steph Curry was arguably people were saying the MVP during that play-in season where they lost to the Lakers. He was averaging like 32 and some change, and he was really putting up like prime Steph Curry numbers. And I think Steph Curry is doing a lot more than just scoring. Like I said, with that 7 rebounds, with the 7 assists, he's actually becoming a point guard, which is
Yep.
great for the Warriors. But with the likes of Jordan Poole and all these people like taking bigger roles, I think it's been leading to the Warriors losing. I think hopefully when Steph Curry comes back, they can kind of turn it around because they did just win the NBA Finals. So I don't think it's far fetched that they can get there back again. I just think Steph Curry right now, his play hasn't led to W's, and I think I can't put him above these other 6 people who play are giving them W's.
I mean, I have Steph a lot higher on my rankings, but I completely understand what you said, like what you mean by his play isn't really producing W's for the Golden State. But I just think Steph is just special. Like he's really special, and I think sooner or later the guys are gonna pick up on that because I think that's just how Steph plays. Just his way of playing is so like contagious that everybody else starts playing well, their game starts getting elevated, and then that's when the Warriors start to pick up. Right now, he gets hurt. They're having their up and down moments. They've lost 2 blowouts to New York teams, Brooklyn and New York, the Knicks. They go last night, it's Christmas Day, and many people thought the game was gonna be a blowout. They thought Memphis was gonna kill them.
I
Like
was one of them.
like without Curry, they really thought that my apologies. That without Curry, Memphis was really gonna just go in there and just beat the brakes off of them. But they stepped up. I think it was also added, that whole little beef that they have with Memphis. But just being Steph being there as well, I think also made a difference because as you saw, Jordan Poole would go to Steph in tough moments, and Steph would be in his ear. So I just have Steph way higher on my list, but I completely understand what you're saying. If it's not producing W's, it doesn't mean really much.
And don't get it twisted. Steph is him. I mean, there's nobody in the league that puts fear in people's hearts at 35 feet and farther. I mean, like, you got Trae Young, you got Damian Lillard, but ultimately they started doing that because of Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry did something great for his legacy last season, winning an NBA Finals on his own, winning that Finals MVP. I think that cemented him into the top 10 conversation. My big gripe with Steph Curry always was he kind of needed a co-star with him. But he proved that last season that he can do it on his own. And I think he's kind of having like that little honeymoon phase where he's kind of a little wasted from the ring. And he's playing well, but his team's kind of being lackadaisical. If he can turn it around, I think, or if his team, in other words, can turn it around, I think Steph Curry easily, without a doubt, is a top 3 player in the NBA. But I just think right now, I'm kind of ranking these if this was like for the MVP conversations and who I would rank based on their play for the MVP. And I just don't see Steph Curry having a better season than these 6 other guys I have on my list.
For number 6 on my list, I have KD. I think with the whole Kyrie situation that happened earlier in the season, hold on. My bad. I have KD at 6 because with everything that happened with Kyrie early in the season, KD wasn't playing up to KD level. And then once Kyrie and that whole thing goes down and they take Kyrie and he's suspended, KD ascended back to being somewhat of what we know of being KD. You just saw a transformation where he's taking this group of guys that you really do not think, can really make something, can really win games. They didn't win as much as, you would think, like, oh, KD's on the team, he's going to take over every game. They still lost a couple close games, but KD really ascended back to KD that we know and love, averaging 30, playing nearly the whole game, averaging like 37, 38 minutes a game, 6 boards, 7 boards, 6 assists, just picking it up on every aspect, rebounds, assists, points, just picking up that slack that Kyrie had left, shooting ridiculous from the field, 55%. I mean, that's crazy, 55% from the field. I mean, his 3-point shooting has been down this year. It's been clueless to me as to why it's been so low, but I think he's picking that up even past few games. I think he's had two or three threes, so far the last 5 games. He's already a ridiculous free throw shooter, at 7 foot, shooting 92%. When he plays, they're 14 and 12, a little bit more now. They're like 18 something. He has 1 triple double in the season, like 3 or 4 double doubles. And just having him at 6 is just, to me, because he picked up a Nets team that not many people thought would make it because, the off-season trouble where he wanted to be traded and all that. And they thought it was going to be a distraction. Kyrie situation being a distraction, but he picked it up for them. And, so I have him definitely at 6.
And KD is someone that is on this list, but he's not number 6 to me. I'm going to save my KD thoughts for when I get to him. But I agree. I think what KD's doing right now is magnificent. Another guy that's having a magnificent season for my number 6 is going to be Joel Troll Embiid. I think Joel is having a magnificent season. I think what he's doing this season it's insane. And the fact that I have him at number 6 just shows how much talent and how much greatness is in the NBA now. Joel Embiid averaging 33, 10, and 5. Mind you, he's averaging the most points per game this season at a center, which is kind of a dying position in the NBA. He's literally, I don't want to say the reincarnate of Hakeem Olajuwon because Hakeem is his own player and Joel is his own player, but they are very similar. I think Joel Embiid is the best post player in the game. Mind you, his production is leading to Sixer W's. The Sixers are the 5th seed in the West, or in the East, I apologize, and they're 20 and 12 this season. And that goes to show you that how good the East is now. The fact that they're only 1 and 2 games behind the 1st seed is very telling. He's on an 8-game winning streak. He just threw up 35 in the Garden to the Knicks. They are just killing it this season. He is just insane. The 6 out of his last 10 games, he's scoring 35 plus points. He has 5 plus point games this season. And he put up, there is no doubt in my mind, the best stat line that I've seen since the David Robinson quadruple double, whenever it was, putting up 59, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 blocks. That is literally some 2K shit. The fact that you're putting up 60 and almost having a quadruple double, 7 blocks. I don't know how you can look at Joel Embiid and not say that that man is great. And the fact that he's not even a top 5 player for me, I think the reason he isn't in that top 5 for me is when I look at all these other players and just seeing what's they have around them and how they're winning. I think it takes a little bit of a toll for me because you got Embiid. You have Embiid with a team of James Harden, who's putting up 20 in 10 games himself. Tobias Harris, who and any other team is a number 1 option, who's probably now a 4 option with Tyrese Maxey balling. And I know Maxey's been hurt, but you got such a deep bench. You got Mini Van Yank, who's throwing up 40 in the Garden now, apparently, like Jesus Christ. And I think with his team, they're right where they should be. They're not really impressing me. Like he's not really doing, like he's not the number 1 seed, right? So like I think his play this season has been amazing. He's been passing the ball a lot more. He's been getting his teammates involved, and I just think Joel Embiid scoring so much as he is impressive in itself. But I just don't see how impressive it is compared to the other 5 people I have above him.
I mean, Embiid didn't make my list at all, to be honest. Yeah, he didn't make my list. It's just because he was out for an extended time. A lot of people I didn't put on is that they miss with injury, and I didn't. If you're gonna miss with injury, not stay as healthy. Like I said, I'd made this list before AD goes down, so it's like I'm sounding like a hypocrite. But Embiid was out for like a month, wasn't he? I believe so.
I don't know if he was out for that long. For Joel Embiid not to be in your top 10 is crazy. He could have been out for that long because he's considered to be the league leader in points per game, so he couldn't have missed that much time. But wow, Joel Embiid not to make it. That's a hot take. I'm not gonna lie, that is a very hot take. I thought I was having a hot take having him this low, to be honest.
Yeah.
But wow, Embiid not at your number 6.
Yeah. I mean, it's also I also thought about it because when I like I said, I messed up my list because I left out a very important player who's actually who I have ranked at 5. So I thought about redoing my list because I missed this one player, and I thought about Embiid, but I just said during the time that I was doing the list, Embiid wasn't playing, and it was for an extended time, and I just thought to myself, I can't put him on this list because everybody else has been playing consistently here and been putting up numbers consistently. Even though Embiid comes back and he's a monster. Embiid comes back and he throws up ridiculous numbers, like you said. Plays great defensively. I wish his rebounds could go up a bit more sometimes. There are times that he just doesn't get double doubles when,
he's allergic to rebounds. It's insane.
Yeah, like you should be averaging 10, 11 rebounds a game. But at the same time, I can't crack at the man. He's still averaging 30, still averaging at least 8 boards, I believe. He's still putting up great numbers. So
he's averaging 33, 10, and 5, which is it's. I know what you're saying though. Like Embiid is a freak of nature. Why are you not going in there getting 11, 12 rebounds a game? You got people like Giannis averaging 13, Domantas Sabonis averaging 15, and he's like 6'8". Like you got to get there, get a little scrappy. So I see that. But with that being said, who do you have at number 5?
Number 5, the guy I had left off the list originally was the Joker, Nikola Jokic. Wow. I have him at 5. I completely forgot about Jokic because at the time he was hurt. He missed a couple games, and I just completely forgot about Denver. Like I was thinking about it. I was rattling my brain. I was like, who the heck am I missing on this list? It just didn't feel complete. And I saw him like, Jokic. That's one of the key guys out there in the West, I'd say. MVP last year. Puts up ridiculous numbers at the center position. 23, 10, and 8. Like that's ridiculous. As a center, you're throwing up 8 assists, more than your point guard, more than most point guards in this league. I think that's ridiculous. 63 field goal percentage. Not a high 3 guy. He'll hit 1 by chance in a game. 80% free throw, 15 double doubles on the season, 3 triple doubles. Maybe I think he has one more now, 4 triple doubles. When he plays, they're 13-8. When he doesn't play, they're like 1-3. So obviously he's a big impact to that Denver Nuggets team. He's was at the time top 2 for the MVP consideration. And I think that's just well deserved because that guy just puts up ridiculous numbers at the center position. I mean, to just play out there 30 minutes a game, run up and down that court, not even think about, being a number one scorer, making everybody else around you better. 8 assists, 10 boards, is just a great player at the center position. I wouldn't look at Jokic and be like, okay, this guy's gonna put up, 10 assists, but he does. He's just that fantastic of a passer. And being 7 foot, so an advantage of grabbing 10 boards a game. But at least he goes there and gets those 10 boards a game. You know what I mean? He
Yeah,
just
no,
had that. He just had that ridiculous game, that 2020 and freaking 15 game. Like it's
yeah,
crazy.
he Jokic is someone that's a little bit higher on my list. I think you're notating the great things about Jokic, and the fact that he wasn't in there initially was crazy because he just won back-to-back MVPs, right? So like he's clearly been him. And I before I even get to Jokic down the line, I just think what Jokic is doing right now is video game numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking about video game numbers, my number 5 is someone that you kind of just touched up on. We were kind of similar in that same ballpark. It's got to be Kevin Durant. I think what Kevin Durant is doing this season, kind of just to allude to what you were saying, is video game numbers. That man is putting 30 points up. He's putting 7 rebounds. He's putting 5 assists. He's shooting 56% from the field. He's not DeAndre Jordan. He's not Zion Williamson. He does not dunk the ball. This man is taking pull-up mid-ranges. He's taking turnaround fades. He's taking pull-up threes. He's taking long 2-pointers. This man is shooting stuff that should be like difficult shots. And for KD, that shit is light work. Like it's insane to think what KD is doing this season. And I think what makes it so much more impressive is how the Nets started. I think you got Ben Simmons, who people didn't even think still knew how to play basketball. You have all these pieces on this Brooklyn Nets team that doesn't seem like they're meshing. I mean, with Steve Nash, they went 2-6 to start the season. They had a lot of tough losses. They ended up firing Steve Nash. You have that whole debacle there. You have Kyrie Irving, who is playing great, but he had this whole debacle with, everything that was going on with Kyrie Irving. There was so much distractions on Brooklyn. You alluded to it earlier. Kevin Durant didn't even want to be there going into the season. He wanted to trade. He was complaining. He was being a diva. But I got to give my credit to where credit is due, and Kevin Durant is playing out of his mind. Since that 2-6 start with Steve Nash, the Brooklyn Nets are 19-6 with the 4th seed in the East. They're 21-12. They just beat a great Milwaukee Bucks team that we saw live in person. And the fact that Kevin Durant demolished that Bucks team with scoring 22 points just shows how great this Brooklyn Nets team is playing around him. I think, to makes a great point to go back to that Devin Booker take is he's scoring 30. Devin Booker scores 30, but Kevin Durant is getting everyone else involved. That 5 assists probably averages the same around Devin Booker, but to me, those assists mean a lot more because they're getting doubled. He's feeding people like Nick Claxton, who thinks that he's him now. And I got to give it to Claxton. His play has been amazing. You got people like Seth Curry, Joe Harris really playing. You got Ben Simmons, who's looking pretty decent. Is he an all-star? No, but he's playing good. You got Kyrie out here dropping 25 alongside him, very much like you said, Batman and Superman. Like, they're going crazy. You got people like TJ Warren coming off the bench going nuts. You have Utah Watanabe shooting like 60, almost 60% from 3. Like, you have a lot of these washed, no-name guys coming out and playing great basketball, and that all starts from Kevin Durant. I think if Kevin Durant wasn't on this team would be a wash. And they're the best team in basketball since November 17th. I think people are slacking. And I don't know if this is a hard take, but I want to go back to this come playoff season. I want to say that the Brooklyn Nets make the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know which team between the Bucks and the Celtics don't make it, but the Nets are making it, man. If Ben Simmons is playing the way he's playing, if KD's playing the way he's playing, if Kyrie is playing the way he's playing, and all these role players are playing the way they're playing, I just don't see a team beating the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. So yeah, I think it's a testimony to how great KD is.
No, I could agree with you. I mean, they're really putting it together now since Kyrie's came back. I mean, I watched in the Milwaukee game, KD was doing everything effortlessly. Like, that 20-something that he scored was effortlessly. He looked like he didn't break a sweat. And I'm also liking I'm not sure if you realize, but I kind of saw what the Brooklyn Nets head coach was doing. He played KD the entire first quarter. Didn't take him out once. Second quarter, doesn't bring him back in until like 4 minutes left. Lets him play the second quarter, plays him a bit in the third, once again closes the third, and in the fourth plays him almost near the fourth. Obviously, they run away with the game. He takes him out, but I think it's just giving KD his moment with Kyrie. Since they're best friends, they do find a way to work together, but there are times where you need to put superstars by themselves in little pockets. So when KD comes out, you keep Kyrie in with that unit, Ben Simmons, TJ Warren now, and let Kyrie do what Kyrie does, dribble, around, tough shots. He's gonna hit if he gets going. It's ridiculous. Just now, I was watching that Cleveland game, and to end the first half, they went on a 15-0 run. Just Kyrie pulling up, just taking the ball to the rack, doing the miraculous layups that he does. So that team is dangerous if they can put that together and stay healthy.
And what's great is I didn't even mention Kevin Durant's defense. I mean, this man is a great defender as well. And I think a big question mark for the Nets coming into the season is, can they defend? And I don't know the exact number right now, so I'm not going to just point anything out, but I'm pretty sure they're ranked in the top 10 in defensive efficiency. I mean, this team has been elite defensively. You got people like Kyrie, Seth Curry, Joe Harris. You got a bunch of people that aren't known to play defense, playing good defense. It all starts for Kevin Durant to me. And like you said, it's just effortless for that guy. I've seen Kevin Durant live like 3 or 4 times now at this point, and just the way he just it's insane. He's
No,
genuinely him, and I
absolutely.
I would rank him higher, but the 4 guys above him to me are just even better. And let's start off with number 4 for you.
Uh, that young kid in Boston, Jason Tatum. I think he's definitely in that top 5 conversation right now. I mean, being on a Boston team that's number one, 24-15 now they have the record, number one in the East, playing, not just being gifted as a scorer, he's now buying into the team defense. They're one of the best defensive teams in the league. Last year, this year, they're proving year in and year out that as long as everybody buys in, they're going to play great defense. And he's averaging 36 minutes a game, 30 points, 8 boards. I think it definitely, his total last year was averaging around 5 or 6. So to go up to 8 boards, nearly 9 boards, getting 12 double doubles, maybe a bit more now since then. Like I said, this list is a bit outdated, a few games, but 12 double doubles for a guy that I at first believed to be like Devin Booker, where he's just a guy you could, hey, go give me 30. I don't you could grab me a few boards, you could send me a few assists, but just go get me 30. You know what I mean? Shooting at a high percentage, 40% from the field, 38 from 3. His free throws are at around 87. One of the best teams in the league. They were in the finals last year. You know, great defensive team. He doesn't miss a game. He stays healthy. I think the most recent game he missed for his son's birthday. So he's a family guy. So
Great marketing.
yeah. So he's a family guy. So he's just, and he's number one so far in MVP rankings. So people have him winning the MVP this year. With a lot of great talent that's been playing this year, being number one, that's a big thing. I mean, Jason Tatum, like I said, he just, when he's off, like I said, that guy at 10, Jaylen Brown picks it up. When Jaylen Brown's off, Jason Tatum picks it up, and he has no problem doing that, taking a backseat to Jaylen Brown. We saw yesterday in the Bucks game, Jaylen Brown had 40 something. Obviously Jason put up his own numbers, but he realized, hey, JB's is having the hot hand. I'm gonna do what I have to do if I get the ball. But right now, JB's having a moment. I'm letting him have his moment.
No, that's very well said. Tatum, I'm gonna get to Tatum because as someone that grows up in New York, I'm a big New York homer. I'm not a big Boston guy,
At
and
all.
I very much hated Jason Tatum for a lot of his career. But I'm gonna get to Jason Tatum because I have a lot to say about that man. Number 4 for me might be a little shocking to you. He is without a doubt my favorite player, probably of all time. It's Mr. Himothy, Luka Doncic. Luka at number 4 to me, it might be shocking. I think the reason why I don't have Luka in my top 3 is what I was alluding to earlier. I think his team really isn't winning right now. So the fact that his numbers are amazing. This guy is 2K video game numbers every single night, but it's not alluding to victories. I know they just made it to the Western Conference Finals last season, so they have that talent. They have the pieces to get there. I just don't know if what Luka's doing right now is going to lead them to the promised land. I mean, right now they're the 8th seed in a very competitive West. They're 18 and 16, so 2 games over 500. Luka's averaging 33, second behind Embiid for points per game. 8 rebounds, 9 assists. This man's averaging a near triple double. That's fucking insane. He's scoring at almost 50% from the field. And for someone that shoots a lot of hard and contested shots like Luka, with those step back threes, with those turnaround one-legged faders, with him driving into the lane with 4 defenders on him,
Yep.
it's insane. And the fact that he's shooting at 35% from three, I know people like Skip Bayless and a lot of the Luka haters say that he can't shoot the three ball. It's all nonsense. I mean, he's a good shooter. Is he JJ Redick? Is he Kyle Korver? Is he all these people? No, but when all your jump shots are step back, contested 3-pointers for the game, it's hard to have that good of a field goal percentage unless you're Steph Curry. The fact that he's shooting 74% from the free throw line is a weakness in his game, and I think that's honestly the only weakness in his game. Obviously, you can improve that 3-point shooting, but the fact that you're not reliable come crunch time to hit some big time free throws is something to me that I can't have above the other 3 guys currently. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, Luka Doncic leads the league in triple doubles. He's got 6 triple doubles this year. Let me read you some of the stat lines that Luka has put up this year. 41, 14, and 11 against Brooklyn. I was there to see that live in that overtime win. He was sensational. He put up 42, 10, and 13 against Portland. He put up 41, 12, and 12 against Golden State. These have been 3 40-point triple doubles that I just listed he's done this season. And against Houston the other day, he just put up 50, 10, and 8. Granted, Houston's not a great defensive team, but Luka is just putting up these insane stat lines. He just put up 32 against LeBron on Christmas. And that was a light 32. Like, Luka was getting locked up that first half. And the fact that he finished with 32 is insane. For me, not to put Luka number 1, number 2, number 3, I know it is kind of bonkers. But, man, I just look at these top 3 guys and just the seasons that they're putting up right now. It's so hard for me to put Luka, who's an 8th seed right now, above them. I do hope that if the Mavericks can turn this around, if people like Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway Jr., and all these other role players can get some W's for Luka and get him in that top 4 seed in the West, I can very much see him winning the MVP. I think this is his MVP to lose. But I got 2 people in my top 3 that I genuinely think are the MVP frontrunners. And the fact that Luka's not in my top 3, I know is a travesty. But I don't think Luka's the top 3 player right now. With what I'm seeing in terms of winning, and his team's just not winning. So that's why I have Luka at number 4.
I mean, that's really shocked me. I thought you'd have Luka 1. I'll be honest, because like you said, he's him. And I mean, even though winning is a factor in my list, being that there's so many great players that are just not on teams right now that are, have it together so far. That's why I didn't really put it too much into consideration, because, we have guys like SGA that we mentioned before on an OKC team that's not going anywhere. They're not really winning much. Even though he does elevate them to win, they're not really going anywhere. So
Right.
I didn't take – that's why Luka is higher for me on my list, but that was a very shocking pick. I'm not
No, and it's fair. Luka, like I said, is my favorite player. He might be my favorite athlete ever. Like, that guy, we both Eastern European, we're both the same age. And the fact that he's busting these NBA greats' ass on a nightly basis is insane. And if I let my bias take over, I would have put him number 1, and I would have just argued it and just tell you to kick rocks if you didn't think so. But I think he's slipping away in terms of the MVP frontrunner to 2 guys I have above him. But now we get to the nitty gritty. I think there's only a few people really left for us to have in the top 3. I feel like I have an idea who your top 3 is, and I'm very interested to see. But with that, let's kick it off, and let's see what your number 3 is.
My number 3 is Steph Curry. I think Steph.
Shocker.
I think Steph, even, with the Dubs being subpar this year, showing you what he could do still late now everybody knows what Steph's gonna do. He's gonna try to pull, ridiculous shots, but he's now doing it to me the way I see it in a much more efficient way. And he's not just scoring the ball anymore, just shooting ridiculous threes, making ridiculous shots. Like you said, he's upped his averages of rebounds and assists. Like he's truly evolving into a point guard and not just a regular point guard. One of these, kind of like unicorn point guards. I'm not putting him near Luka level where he's averaging triple double every game, but he's definitely up there now with 6 rebounds a game, 7 assists, 30 points, 50% from the field, 43% from three. Like most of the guys that we
That's
mentioned, they're at their
yeah,
mid 30s.
yeah.
Steph is shooting 40 something percent. A guy that many people believed was going to slow down. People were going to catch up to what he was doing, and he's not going to be the same player. I mean, 7 double doubles, 1 triple double. When he plays, they're not the best team in the league, but they are very, very tough. 13-10. Probably, like I said, I missed a couple games here, so I want to say 14-12 when he plays. But they don't win games when he's not in the lineup. They have won 2 games since he came out with that shoulder injury. 2 or 1 game. I think yesterday was their first one without Steph. They're terrible. They're a terrible road team, and that's one knock.
Garbage.
But when they play at home, it's like they put on a suit of armor and they cannot be touched, and it's ridiculous. I think Steph is just single-handedly the reason I have him at 3. He's playing, like I said, MVP level. He's top 10 in the MVP rankings. He's single-handedly keeping them relevant. I don't see the Warriors right now unless they pick up another player or Steph just says, "Hey, my shoulder's fine, get back in the lineup." I don't see the Warriors going far. I don't. If it's not Steph, I don't see the Warriors, making it far. He's just a major impact player. When Steph's on the court, you have to have at least 2, 3 pair of eyes on him. He's gonna move around. And even then, that being him on the court opens up opportunities for Clay. Clay's not being the Clay of old, but he gets open shots. Clay, if you give Clay Thompson 5 open shots, he's gonna hit 3 or he's gonna hit 3 of those. You know what I mean? It opens it up more for Poole. Poole is just a crafty guy. If Steph's there opening the court, Poole's gonna get to the basket, shiftiness, get there. If Steph, they're guarding Steph too much, Steph kicks it to him. He's shooting deep threes now. So I think just having Steph in my top 3 is just his impact. There's just no way I could just take that away from Steph.
And I very much so agree with you, right? In terms of like the grand scheme of basketball players. And I think Steph, without a doubt, is a top 5 talent in the NBA. I think he is him. Like he's amazing. But I think you point to what you were saying is why I can't have him higher, which is why I had Luke at number 4. I think his play isn't equating to W's. And without him, the Warriors definitely are a worse team. But even with him, they haven't really produced the wins that we're used to seeing. So I think if they can turn around, obviously Steph's a top 5 player, but I think Steph, for me to rank him that high, he just needs to win. Someone that I have in my top 3 is someone that could very much well go 3 for 3 when it comes to MVP in the last 3 years. And that's who you mentioned at number 5, Nikola Jokic, the Joker. He's number 3 for me. And the fact that he's not number 1 and 2, I debated even putting him higher, to be honest. The stats that he's putting up this season for a center is insane. The Nuggets overtook with that win against Phoenix as the number 1 seed in the West. The West, obviously, always known as a great conference. And I know the Nuggets are usually known as a regular season team. They really haven't made much noise in the NBA. Besides that one time where they made it to the Western Conference Finals on the bubble and lost to the Lakers, they haven't really gone too far. But Nikola Jokic this season is averaging 25, 11, and 9. 9 assists for a big is insane. The fact that he's averaging a near triple-double with the only person to ever do that besides Oscar Robertson is Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook did it to a T, to the fact where nobody realized how impressive it is. But the fact that Jokic is now doing it as a center is insane. A 7-foot, 260-pound man who shoots the ball like a weirdo is really just dominating the league. He's won back-to-back MVPs, and he can very much well win his 3rd in a row. The only thing with that is the NBA voters really do believe in voters fatigue. So Jokic could average, I think, 40, 20, and 20, and they probably wouldn't give it to him. But the fact that I'm going to read you some of the stat lines I had this season. Last night on Christmas, with the whole world watching, 41, 15, and 15 for a W. Insane. Earlier this week against Charlotte, which you were kind of alluding to earlier, 40 points, 27 rebounds, and 10 assists. A triple double with 27 rebounds. I like how? Like that's insane. I know Charlotte is dog water, but 27 rebounds, 40 points, and 10 assists is insane. 43, 14, and 8 against Washington, 31, 12, and 14 against Utah. And all those are wins. The Nuggets are 21 and 11 this season. All that coming to Jokic. I know Jokic has got a squad. I know he's got Jamal Murray, who's healthy now. I know Aaron Gordon has picked it up. I know Michael Porter Jr. is turning it around. I know Bones Highland is great. Christian Brown is great. They have a lot of great pieces to fit Nick. Bruce Brown. How can I forget Bruce Brown? He's been such a big piece for them. There's so many pieces that the Nuggets have. But for once, I can see the Nuggets being scary. I can see them coming out of the West for once. I think Jokic's play has been great. I mean, this man, I think is going to pass Will if he hasn't already for the most triple doubles ever for a center. He has 7 alone this season. He's got 80 something for his career.
Yeah.
And he's shooting the ball at 62% from the field. Like I said, a lot of the points come from mid-range, come from the paint. I know he doesn't shoot the 3 ball that much, but 62% for someone that just doesn't dunk the ball. I don't even know if Jokic dunks. Like he probably has like 5 dunks in the last 5 years.
Yep.
34% from 3. I think what falls off a little bit is like he's a 79, 80% free throw shooter, which is still good. It's above average for a superstar. I mean, not everyone can shoot SGA levels, KD Curry levels from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think what Nikola Jokic is doing right now, being the first seed in the West, putting up a near triple-double for a center, 25, 11, and 9 is no joke. And I think if the Nuggets can run away and if Jokic can put more video game numbers like he did last night, 41, 15, and 15. If he keeps doing that, I just don't see how the voters vote for him to win MVP. I just think winning 3 in a row for the first time since Larry Bird, if LeBron James hasn't done that, why would they give it to fucking Nikola Jokic? So I wish that voters fatigue didn't exist because I think Nikola Jokic, he's my number 2 in the MVP conversation right now. Mm-hmm. Number 1, I have someone higher than him. But I think without a shadow of a doubt, Nikola Jokic is that guy, and he deserves to be number 3 on this list.
No, I could accept that answer. I mean, like I said, I missed Jokic on my initial list, but I feel like the top 5 that I have, you could interchange any of these guys in that top 5.
I think, and sorry to cut you off, but I think that's what's great about the NBA. I think in other sports, it's like who the top 5 is based on rankings, but the NBA is so deep that you really can't interchange. And I feel like for the most part, our top 5 are interchangeable. We have the same amount of guys, just in different orders. Yep. But yeah, it's just what you value, and I agree with you.
Exactly. I mean, I'll be honest. If Jokic, I think honestly, if the Nuggets could pull off top 3 seed, I think he wins the MVP and he keeps up the numbers. But my MVP favorite is Luka, so like I can't see, like you said, it's Luka's to lose. To be honest, to me, it's in my eyes, it's Luka's to lose. I mean, yes, if they bum it, if Dallas completely bums it and they don't make the playoffs, they have a terrible record. I don't think Luka should win it. But if you give me 6, 7, if you give me 5th or 4th above 5th seed for Luka, I'd definitely give him the MVP regardless. That's just me. The way he's playing is just ridiculous.
And with that being said, is Luka your number 2 on your list?
No, Luka's actually. My number 2 actually is Giannis. Giannis is my number 2 player. I mean, it's not much, need of explanation for me because it's just Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like the way he plays without a jump shot in this NBA, it amazes me. We saw him against the Nets, and he's just a bully. If he wants to get to the hole and dunk it on you, he's gonna do it. You can't stop that man. Averaging 32, damn near 12 boards. He was averaging 6 assists. I think that went down a bit. I think he's averaging like around 4 or 5 now. A block a game, shooting 55% from the field. Obviously, his 3-point shot is not there. He's shooting 20%. Free throws is also, so it's like 60%. But when he plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, they're a ridiculous team. They're an unstoppable team. Without him, they have an okay squad. They are about 3-1, 4-2 now, actually, without him. He has a triple-double in the season, 13 double-doubles. I mean, the guy's just a walking double-double, honestly. Like, you just know he's going to get you 10 boards. He's going to get you 20 points. And if he truly wanted to exude that more effort, he'll give you a triple double. I think him and Luke are like up there hand to hand of like just walking triple doubles with Jokic as well. I keep forgetting Jokic because he's in Denver and it's just like I feel like it's just a forgotten almost thing.
Yeah.
But I think those three guys right there, they're just walking triple doubles. Giannis just a force. Like he's just a force. Having him at number 2 is just I think nothing much can be said because he's definitely a top 3 player in the league right now. Just a major impactful player as well on both sides. I mean, you see Giannis in the lane, I'm not going to drive on you. Giannis is super long. I can't shoot over you as much. You know what I mean? Even though Jason Tatum proved yesterday you can drive on Giannis, but that's not going to happen every time. Giannis is going to pin, he's going to throw you into the parking lot if you try that more than once. You know what I mean? So being on a top 3 team in the league right now, the Milwaukee Bucks, he's keeping them more and more relevant. I think you take Giannis off the Bucks are at most a 7th seed. So it's just to me, just the impact of Giannis keeps him at 2.
And I can't disagree. I think Giannis, and I'll get a little bit to Giannis, but I'm going to go back to what you were saying about Jason Tatum proving that he can poster on Giannis, because I think that might be a little foreshadowing for this season's MVP rankings, because my number 2 is Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum has proved his haters wrong. I will gladly admit it. I would put on a banner. I hated Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum was overrated. He was just Devin Booker, just a little bit more crafty to me a couple of seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't, he keeps on doing this, and I just can't not give him his credit anymore. As a rookie going to Game 7 against LeBron, constantly going to the Eastern Conference Finals. People make this joke that this man is still 19. Jason Tatum is only 24. And what I've seen from Jason Tatum this season is unbelievable. He's 24-10 on the best team in the NBA. And the Celtics, without a question, are the best team in the NBA. Best team defensively. They're one of the top 5 ranked offenses. This guy's averaging 31, 8, and 4. So not only is he scoring 31 a game, he's grabbing 8 boards, and he's getting 4 assists for a win. This is like, it's crazy because he can genuinely do it all. I know the assist numbers aren't Luka level. I know they're not LeBron level or Jokic level. But you got to realize that Tatum is a score-first player. I think he's literally Devin Booker times a million. Like, if someone ever told me that him and Devin Booker are like the same kind of player, I'd slap them, because Jason Tatum literally can do it all. I swear to God, he's like LeBron and Kobe combined in some way. Like, I know that's such a very hot take to say, but his game is very much like Kobe. Back to the basket, turn around, fade, pull up 3. His 3 is crisp. He can drive. He can dunk. He's dunked on LeBron. He's dunked on Giannis. Like, I don't know what weakness is in Jason Tatum's game. I mean, let me read you some of the stats that he's put up. 41, 7, and 5 against Milwaukee on Christmas, mind you. 44, 9, and 6 against Lakers that other game. It was like a week or 2 back where AD and just Tatum was going crazy. And he hit the shot to go to OT. Like, he is clutch. He is smart. He gets his team involved. And unlike Devin Booker and all these other scorers, he actually makes people around him better. I mean, he's scoring 31, and he has a teammate in Jaylen Brown scoring 25.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. Like, the fact that Jaylen Brown can get his flowers too on the best team, he's not a ball hog. He doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. Jason Tatum, to me, is the number 1 MVP favorite. He might not be the number 1 best player right now just because I have someone better, because I feel like the person at number 1 for me can do it on both ends on the floor. But Jason Tatum is not a slouch on defense. That man can lock up, and he's proven to do that this season. But going back to what I was saying before, 44, 9, and 6 against the Lakers, 49, 11, and 3 against the Heat, 43, 10, and 3 against Detroit. He has 6 40-point games this season. That's tied for Luka Doncic for the most in the league. 40 points is not an easy thing to do. And the fact that he's done it 6 times by Christmas is insane. I think if the Celtics stay at the number 1 seed, if Tatum keeps this up, without a doubt, Tatum has my MVP vote. Like, it's actually that locked in. Like, what I see from him, it's like, he scores so effortlessly. He's just insane. He's 48% from the field, 36% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line. Like, I don't know what more you can ask from Jason Tatum. Like, I'm almost like a fan. Like, honestly, like, I'm kind of like fanboying now because Jason Tatum has switched my perspective that much. And it was very hard for me not to even put him at number 1, because what I'm seeing from this man on a nightly basis to get his team the win is insane because Jason Tatum doesn't even need to put up 30 for the Celtics to win. And yes, the Celtics have Malcolm Brogdon, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, Al Horford. They have a stacked team. There's no questions about that. And he shot the bet on the finals. Like he came to the finals and he was atrocious. But I think that gave him a wake-up call. That made him unleash this beast. And if I gun to my head today, the Boston Celtics are winning the NBA championship, and Jason Tatum is winning not only the MVP but the Finals MVP. That's my take. That's how much I'm impressed by Jason Tatum.
You said a lot of great things about Jason. Why wasn't he number one? I mean, I could get behind with some of the things you say for sure. I'm not gonna lie, I could see exactly what you say. But to me, sometimes when I watch Jason Tatum, and I actually sometimes have the same gripe with the guy that I have next, is that if his shot's not falling, I feel like Jason takes himself out of the game sometimes. Not saying completely where he doesn't do anything, because like you said, he's still a good defender. He still does everything else, but I feel like he just puts himself so much out the game offensively that when he doesn't hit, that puts definitely a stress on the Celtics offense sometimes. Because in reality, when you think about it, it does have to go through Jason, and if it doesn't go through Jason on one night, or like on a small night against a team like, let's say, for example, Charlotte or Detroit, you could go through Jalen. But I think there's times where, like, when not in big games, because like you said, he's performed Lakers,
the Heat, the
Miami,
Bucks,
the
like
Bucks, all of those games, he definitely stepped up. But I think I forgot which game it was. I can't believe I'm blanking on it now. He wasn't hitting, and they had to go through Jalen, and it wasn't effective as it was if they would have went through Jason. And he just took himself out. He kept trying to force the threes. He kept trying to force himself to try to get a bucket when he just needed to just, I'm a good bucket getter. Let me go get my bucket.
And I would agree, but I genuinely think that's just Tatum from the past. I think if you've really locked into all his games this year, like sure, like you'll have a one-off performance, but a one-off performance for Jason Tatum is like 22, 23, 24 points. But I think what makes him special this season is he's genuinely making others around him better. Like he can and I think that's why Donovan Mitchell to me is so high, because Donovan Mitchell is kind of putting up 40 or putting up 30 a night, but he's getting other people better. Darius Garland's getting better. I think all these other guys are getting better around him. And I just think what Jason Tatum's doing is letting Jaylen Brown, letting Marcus Smart, letting all these guys be better around him, just getting all the attention from NBA defenses. So, yeah, I think before I let you go to your number one, I'll go to my number one. Because the reason why I don't have Jason Tatum number one is because I think the best player in the NBA, not only right now, but in the league for honestly the last couple of years, is the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think what Giannis does on both ends on the floor, having his team win as much as they have, it's a no-brainer for me. I know Giannis has very, very obvious weaknesses to his game, but if you look at it, he is the most dominant player to play since Shaq. He's ideally Shaq with dribble moves, and he can run on the break. Like, it's insane to think Giannis averaging 31 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists is not that good. Like, it's insane to think that when he's averaging, or he's shooting 56% from the field. Like you said, his free throw percentage is like 70%. He shoots at a 3-point range at 22%. And God forbid, everybody says this, everybody knows this, but I swear to God forbid Giannis shot the 3 ball at 35%. Like, the NBA would genuinely have to make a rule against Giannis because it wouldn't even be fair. I think it's without a shadow of a doubt, Giannis is the most accomplished 26-year-old, or he's probably older now, but like his resume at 26 was one of the most accomplished ever. I mean, he had an MVP, he had 2 MVPs, he had a Finals MVP, a ring, a DPOY, a Most Improved. Like, you can check off Giannis, and I don't think it's far-fetched to say that Giannis could go down as the greatest of all time. He could. I just think obviously he needs to make his game a little bit well-rounded. I think the Milwaukee Bucks being a top 2 seed or just a top 2 team in the NBA, they're having a kind of a rough patch right now, losing their last 3. They lost to Boston on Christmas. They lost to the Nets when we were there. I think a lot of it is just due to injury. Chris Middleton hasn't been playing, but he's got a great squad. He's got Drew Holiday. He's got Brook Lopez, who's playing at an all-star level. Just shout out to Brook Lopez. Giannis, Chris Middleton, Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen, Bobby fucking Portis. Love that guy. Shout out Bobby. But yeah, I think if you look at it, he has 17 30-point games this season. You mentioned his double-doubles. You mentioned that he can get a triple-double any night if he wants to pass the ball. Against Cleveland, a couple weeks ago, he had 45, 14, and 4. Against New Orleans, he had 42, 10, and 1. I know the assist numbers aren't there, but Giannis is unstoppable, not only offensively, but defensively. That man, I know he's only averaging 1 steal, 1 block, but he's won a depoy. He's a great off-ball defender. He can guard on-ball defenders. If you're going against KD, he's going to guard KD. I think what I respect about Giannis and the reason why I have him number one is he's got that Mamba mentality, right? Like he doesn't want Kyrie to join his team. He doesn't want AD to join his team. He doesn't want Chris Paul to join his team. He wants to do it himself, and he's proven that. He's guarded he's playing KD. I'm a guard KD. He's playing AD. I'm a guard AD. He's playing Jokic. I'm a guard Jokic. Like he's out there to kill. And I know he's not a great shooter, but he's been working on it. I think Giannis at this point now, with how much limited his game is as the best player, is insane. And he's got 2 MVPs under his belt. I don't know what he can do to win a third. I just think Tatum, Luka, and Jokic, just in general, are having better statistical seasons and better like MVP voting friendly seasons than Giannis. But when I look at the best player in the NBA and the poster child, I don't see how it can't be Giannis. I mean, that man is dominant, smart, and he can win a ring. He's done it before. So the fact that he's got that under his belt, I just don't see why he isn't the best player in the NBA right now.
No, I could agree. I mean, like you said, defensively, Giannis can guard 1 through 5. There's not a position he can't guard. So he is just literally a freak. He's a freak.
Yep.
Literally, he's a freak. I mean, the reason I don't have him at number 2 is because this number 1 guy to me is just ridiculous. And if you put him on any team, I think he makes them so much better. It's ridiculous. It's Luka Doncic. Your favorite NBA player is my number 1 guy right now in the league. Because, I mean,
and that's fair. I love Luka Doncic. Sorry, go ahead, but it's a good place to have him. I'm smiling right now.
Yeah, no, because I mean, Luka number 1 to me is just. I thought about it the moment we talked about having this discussion. The first guy in my mind, I said, it's Luka. It's just the way he's playing this year. It's ridiculous. I had him winning MVP before the season started. I saw him slim down in the offseason. I go, no, this guy's going for MVP this year. It's without a doubt in my mind. This guy's going for MVP. He's going to play at a ridiculous level, and he's proving it. 33 points a game, 9 rebounds damn near, 9 assists damn near. Like you said, he's almost a walking triple-double. He's surprisingly his defensive rating is pretty good. It's at 108. He's getting steals, not as much blocks, but he's shooting 50% from the field. Like you said, it's all tough contested layups, tough contested turnarounds, fadeaways, and you're shooting 50%. I think that's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I mean, the only knock I could have is, his 3-point shooting. But even then, it's still, at the mid, the 35s, like you said, not everybody could be Curry. Not everybody could be, Clay and Kyle Korver and JJ Redick shooting at a high 40%. But, he's up there. Another thing is his free throw percentage, 72. But I want to go back to what you said. You said I wouldn't want a guy like that, at crunch time, shooting my free throws. But I think Luka, when it comes down to it, I think Luka has that Mamba mentality that we talk about. And I think he hits them. And when it truly matters in crunch time, you know what I mean? Because I think he knows how important they are. And something takes over him. He goes, I need to knock these down. I'm going to knock them down. I mean, 12 double-doubles, 7 triple-doubles. I mean, that's ridiculous for a guy who is the size of a small forward, playing point guard, doing this night in and night out. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's honestly, to me, it was a no-brainer to have Luka at 1. Because he's, to me, and to everybody else, he's number 1 for MVP because he's just playing at a ridiculous level. The only thing is it's not translating to W's, but I think that's not so much on him, but mostly on his team because it's just he does everything. There's not a thing he's not missing in his game. And we watched him play against Phoenix. Wow. That's all you had to say was, wow, this guy's freaking great. If the only thing that can make this guy better is shooting 40% from 3, and maybe a couple more defensive plays. But other than
Yeah.
that, I mean, Luca number one, I think to me is just no
And
brainer.
you, and I don't think it's wrong to have him at number one. We were mentioning how can very much the NBA. I think Luka, bar none, is one of the clutchest players in the NBA. I mean, in his rookie season, this man was hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. Hitting clutch shots in the playoffs. He sent not the Lakers, I apologize, the Clippers packing in the bubble. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
guy has those. Well, he didn't send him packing, but he had a great shot, step back over Reggie Jackson. Like, he has that Mamba mentality. He has that it factor. There really isn't that many weaknesses to his game. Obviously, like you said, you can shoot a little bit better. But when you're shooting step back threes over people, it's hard to shoot at a high clip, as well as maybe being better defensively. But the Mavericks are a great defensive team anyways. So I think Luka at number one isn't far-fetched at all. I think bias-wise, I would have had him number one. But looking at my list, I try to rank on who I would vote for MVP right now. And I just think Luka's my number four on my list. Well, actually, he's number three. I just think Giannis is ultimately better. But with that being said, any final thoughts that you have about my list, Chris, about your list? What do you have to say about the rankings? Anything that you're surprised wasn't on the list? Anything that shocked you? What's your takeaways?
I mean, shocked me was Luca at 4 for you. I'll be honest. That was definitely shocking. I thought he'd at least be in your top two. I'll be honest. I mean, that one being your favorite player, of course, but two, just this season is up as par with Giannis's. You know what I mean? Par with Jokic. You know, the only difference is like for you, it's not translating to win.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for sure. Me, I just took this list as guys I'd want on my team or guys I would start my team with. And I think those 10 guys that I said, I would do that. I wouldn't mind having on my team. I wouldn't mind starting a team around them. So that's how I base my list off of, because I know putting any of these guys on a team, the team's going to be better. They're going to win games. So if I put Luka on I don't know, let's say we put him on
Charlotte.
Yeah, not Charlotte so much, because I think they'll be better, but they won't be any better than they are. Let's say you put them on the Suns or the Grizzlies. You take John Moran out. I think the Grizzlies are a top 2 team in the league, because just Luka doing everything. You have Desmond Bane. You got guys like Steven Adams. I think his stats go down a bit, but that just gives Luka more freedom to do everything, and just being great, just elevate everybody else around him.
Yeah. And I think that's a thing that Luka gets a knock on his game, because obviously he's never really had a superstar next to him. But people wonder if he can really do it with a lower usage rate, because people compare him to Houston Harden all the time, saying like the only reason why he's putting up all these numbers is because he has the ball in his hands 90% of the time. And as a Luka fan, I've seen him so many times live. I think that is a very much well-assessed knock on him, because we've never seen him live without the ball. So I'm curious to see if he ever I think like Bradley Beal on Dallas would be a great fit. I would love to see how he can coincide with another superstar, because ultimately Porzingis was there. And I know Porzingis isn't a superstar, but he shipped Porzingis out because it just didn't work. He made Porzingis a spot up shooter. So I think with that, Luka at number one, like you said, I don't have any qualms with it. For me, my biggest takeaways from your list, it's not having him be in that top 10. I was very shocked to see that. Obviously, I know I'm kind of a Booker hater, but Booker in the top 10, I just don't agree with it. Another one that's actually pretty shocking to me is LeBron didn't even get an honorable mention to you. I'm shocked that LeBron isn't considered up there. I know that he's old, #washed king, and I know the Lakers kind of suck, but I mean, listen, you're 20, putting up 28, 7-7 for LeBron. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I think those are my biggest takeaways and like shocked things. But I'm excited to see what the rest of the NBA has in store. Chris, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being a part of the RizPod and being a part of the first episode. Hopefully this isn't the last time we see you. But do you have any final parting words for the fans?
No, I was happy to be here, and hopefully, I'm here on a regular, been right next to Riz got here on the RizPod. So, hopefully this does good, and we're here every other time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, with that being said, Chris, thank you so much for spending the last hour and some change with me debating on who the top 10 NBA players are. Shout out to everybody that's watching this. It's your boy, the man, the myth, the legend, RZGOD, Riz God, baby, bringing you the first episode of the RizPod. We'll see you next time, guys.